sacrifice, you can do everything right, and life can take you down the wrong path. That's the risk we take to get things that we never had. Cause back in my mind, hope a better day is pray I don't get led astray. Love a boy, turn cold. Welcome back to N.Cast. I'm your co-host, Prince Ayo, and I actually have a special guest with us, Billy Garton Jr. How you doing, man?
I'm good, brother. I'm
You
good,
good?
brother. Super excited to be on.
So just for the audience member, give it a little context. Billy's actually a personal branding expert. So I'm actually going to be asking Billy a couple of questions about personal branding. Of course, if you've been watching my content, I've been like giving hints here and there about how to expand your personal branding. And Billy actually is the expert about it. I'm still learning about it, but Billy's been like in that field. So Billy, before we actually get into like the interview and the questioning, let's actually get some background context on you. Like, where you from?
Yeah,
What got you into personal branding? Stuff like that.
yeah. So I was born in Manchester, England. I
Okay.
I grew up there, moved to San Diego, California when I was about 2 years old.
Okay.
And long story short, I was a soccer player, aspiring soccer player, signed a professional contract, ended up going to college to pursue entrepreneurship. Did not graduate. Still don't have a degree, but went into the
Going to
personal
college
brand.
for entrepreneurship. Yeah. It kind of makes sense why you didn't graduate. Just like thinking about it, it kind of makes sense why you didn't graduate. It's like, why waste yourself on the debt? But go ahead,
Exactly,
keep
brother.
going.
Exactly. So I became extremely passionate about that world, became extremely passionate about marketing. But deeper level, what I've in the past years is media. Social media is really just another way for you to build your personal brand. And so what made me become so passionate about this world was I speak to a lot of people my age, 21 years old. I speak to a lot of people when I was in college. I speak to people within my realm of influence about what they want to do with their life. And the biggest thing I hear is, I wish I could do this, but I want to do this, but I can't because. And there's always an excuse as to why people can't do something. And so there's nothing I am more fascinated by than the mindset of the 16 to 25-year-old hustler who wants to achieve a dream, but is being convinced by external influence that they can't. And so what got me into personal branding was, I know in this digital age that you can create anything out of anything you want. Any dream can be facilitated through the online world. And people think so linear nowadays, but I know, because I've seen it for myself and everybody that I work with, that there are 15 to 30 to 100 different streams of income and ways that you can create your ideal life around something you're passionate about. So it wasn't necessarily social media that got me into this world of I love personal branding, but rather being so fascinated by the mindset of people my age and actually wanting to inspire and influence them to live their ideal life online.
Okay. And you might be asking, Billy, how old are you? 24, 25?
21, brother.
21.
21.
Okay. Even better. So that's the demographic. I'm actually like 27. So like,
Nice one.
but even then, like even at 23, I kind of had an idea about it. I'm a little bit older than the millennial generation,
Yeah.
older than the millennial generation, but like it's a young man's game, to be honest. Like it's still like growing for like the idea of personal branding being like a full-time thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like I was early on it. Sometimes when you're early, it doesn't catch on. It's about timing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, you're just catching on and like, not just catching on, but like you caught the right timing, right age. So it all comes like makes sense at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%.
So what exactly do you love about personal branding other than like, people have self-doubts, they have excuses. What do you like love that about personal branding that like lets people to express themselves about it?
I love contradicting the opinion of what a personal brand has to be.
Okay.
People think of
Personal branding kind of sounds like cliche, like
yeah, very much so. People look at personal brands and in many ways they think, oh, okay, this person is unbelievable at social media, or this person is a phenomenal artist, or this person is amazing at e-commerce. But the way I see personal branding is truly the constant, and David Meltzer, who was on my podcast, taught me this, the consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential. And what people fail to realize is they dive into something they don't enjoy or don't care about because money's the motivator.
They didn't read
But
the
if you
contract.
find your, sorry?
They didn't read the contract. They didn't know what they were signing up for.
Amen, brother. Amen. Yeah. And they dive into something because they've seen an ad or they've seen someone else tell them, you can make a lot of money doing this. And the reality is they don't enjoy it. They have no passion around it. And so they fail. Inevitably, most people fail when they don't enjoy doing what they're doing. And so the way I see it, yeah, exactly. And so the way I see it is consistently pursuing your potential in something that you enjoy most in this world. And what personal branding entails is not just building number of followers, not just building likes, but building an audience that resonates with you off of platforms, off of social media, that can turn into people of value, relationships, money, obviously, for yourself as well. It's so much more than saying I have 100,000 followers or 200,000 followers. You know, I have 4,000 followers merely on Instagram, and I have 70 something thousand on TikTok, but I coach people who have a lot more followers than me, but they don't know how to build a brand. So a brand is not followers. A brand is this overarching feeling of an audience that resonates with you based on what you put out.
It's interesting that you say that. So I'm gonna give you a little bit like backstory and like a little bit understanding how I understood personal branding.
Yeah.
Right. Like, for instance, believe it or not, I don't know if I told you, but I noticed your TikToks when I got on TikTok before I even like met you. Like,
really?
You just came up on my FYP page. Like, you just came up here and there. And I didn't know like that was your niche. I just knew you were like business oriented.
Yeah.
But like you would have like 100 couple likes here and there, but like you brought value to the platform. And it was interesting because like at the time, this was like TikTok was a little bit premature. It's 2019. It's still a little bit premature, even though like it was exposed. But like
you saw me in 2019.
Yeah, but like I didn't know what you were doing. You know what I mean? Like I just saw like some of your stuff. And even though you had quality posts and it didn't match like the likes or the following, you still brought value to the platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when like I started joining GYU Grow With Us, you know, and you were like I've seen you there and stuff. I'm like, oh, this guy might be part of like marketing and branding, right? Yeah. And then I was just like, okay, this guy obviously knows how to network and like really get around the way of things. You know, that's the best way I can put it in layman's terms.
Yeah.
And then that's when I started thinking like, which I started noticing on TikTok, there's a lot of people who don't have that much following, don't get that much likes, but they end up being verified or end up like actually bringing value to the platform. Because I think even TikTok's algorithms are noticing like, even if you're bringing value to the platform, it might not be the most popular or like entertaining thing on the platform.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it kind of hurts like people who actually like put like a lot of effort, like you and like other people who put effort into it. And it's like, it's quality stuff. It's quality stuff. But because it's not like the ones that get like 1,000 Ks and stuff like that, it used to be like comedic stuff or controversial stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I started noticing on like TikTok. And I know we were talking about Instagram because this is different platforms, but and different reasoning. But like TikTok's where I found you. That's the only reason why I'm like, yeah. That's why I'm like
100%
back to there.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and just going just to like, even though I'm going on that store, I'm just wrapping around to what you were saying. Like, even though you don't have that much following, you understand like conversion. You understand like the following doesn't mean that like that person doesn't have value.
Yeah.
Has a community.
Yeah.
Right?
And listen, by the way, I'm not discrediting thousands and thousands of followers. I would be the first one to say that having a brand around you with more recognition, with more followers is phenomenal, and that is going to increase your chances of converting. What I am fascinated by is that people think that they need to have thousands of thousands of followers to consider themselves having a personal brand. No,
Intimidation.
if you open an account tomorrow and you have 10 followers, that's a personal brand. That in itself is a personal brand. If you can convert those 10 followers into people who resonate with your other platforms and want to purchase from you, etc., then your brand is more valuable than somebody with 10,000 followers who can't convert an audience. So branding is not in relation to numbers. Numbers are just something that help with that. But you can actually sell. You can bring people off the platforms. You can make people do what you want in terms of promoting anything that you have, regardless of the number of followers. And that's why it goes in many ways back to what you said about what I said about the consistent approach. Yeah. You saw me in 2019. I was getting a few hundred likes, etc., and the content and value I was giving at that time was not matching the amount of engagement I was getting. Yeah. But if you were to go back to my page now versus when you saw me then, I had probably a couple thousand followers when you saw me then. The consistent approach of posting every single day around the value that I was giving without giving up based on these early metrics has allowed me now to get millions of views on some of my videos, hundreds of thousands of views on some of my videos, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70,000 likes. And all it goes down to is I pushed past where most people stop, which is they post for a few weeks, they post for a few days, they get what I was getting, a few likes, a few hundred likes, and they think, oh, it's not working, I'm going to give up. But the consistent, persistent pursuit of that potential is everything.
I think that falls on like delayed gratification too, at the end of the day. Like, because like you knew your niche, right? Like when I got on TikTok, I didn't know my niche. I just was trying to figure out the platform, right? Yeah. But like the route you took was more so like delayed gratification. Like you knew,
I knew it was coming.
You knew
time just caught it.
Like you knew what the fuck where you were going. You know what I mean? Like it was just like you knew, right? But like you just knew, like even though you didn't have that much following, that likes, you knew you were still bringing value to that platform, and you just needed the right people to see you, right?
100%.
And like, and that's what I've been learning on that platform.
It's deploying patience, very much so.
And platforms, not just TikTok, but like platforms in general. Like that's not just singling out TikTok.
Yeah. And it's very much deploying patience. The whole thing is very much about deploying patience. Too many people set goals that are unrealistic early on, which creates and sets them up for failure. They think, I want to hit this metric in this amount of time, and that time period is set too soon. And so when they don't hit that, it's like, oh, I've already lost. Yet the people who set longer term goals and understand that this is going to take a little while, that's where the consistent approach comes in. For me, it was never that I want to monetize early on. I only started monetizing my platforms about 3 or 4 months ago. So I had to spend 7, 8, 9 months giving value every single day. But I understood that long-term approach was going to get me where I needed to be. And now on the back end, I can sell, I can make money, I can propel my podcast to the top 100, I can eventually open merch. But it's understanding those two things, consistency and patience. And the final wing is don't try to sell off the bat.
Yeah.
Don't bring up your brand and think that everybody's just going to love you within 2 posts and you can sell to them.
We're not Apple.
They need to understand. Yeah, exactly.
We're not Nike. I get that. Yeah.
Exactly. And even those platforms and Apple and Nike and all these bigger brands.
Trillions of dollars, billions of dollars marketing that.
Absolutely. And they still took years to brand themselves, you know? Nike was called Blue Ribbon before it was called Nike.
Yeah.
Nobody knows the backstory that goes into that, but not to get off topic, but like branding yourself around who you are, it's like building a personal relationship. You know, if you walk up to somebody, you wouldn't tell them, this is what I do, purchase from me. You would walk up to them, you'd introduce yourself, you'd talk about who you are, what you do, what your goals are, where you're going. You'd give a little bit of value, and if down the line they decided, wow, this person really knows what he's talking about, I want to learn more, then you'd sell to them. But you would never walk up to someone you don't know and say, this is what I do, I want to work with you. You know, because that would immediately create this barrier between you. And that's what most people do with their audience online. They don't relate it to a personal relationship. They create a barrier because they're too eager to sell. So it's like, I do this, and this is what I want to sell to you. And the audience goes the other way. But think about your audience like this. The closer you bring your audience to you and where you want them, then when you offer, that's the final piece of the puzzle that closes people on the deal. But you have to implement all these steps first that are going to allow you to get there.
You definitely hitting the Gary Vaynerchuk approach. The punch, or what is it? The right hook,
Jab,
right
jab,
hook.
jab, right hook.
Yeah, that one. That's what it is. Yeah. Jab, jab, hook. Yeah. So like, it makes sense because like we live in an era where there's so much information out there, right? So like, even though you be like, this is my brand, I want to sell to you. Some people may fall for it, but they'll also be like, hold on one sec, let me just look you up on Google real quick, or DuckDuckGo. You know what I mean? It's just like, let me see how solidified your brand is, or like how certified your brand is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a fine balance because, like you said before, and I've said, you don't need thousands or 100,000 followers. You don't also need to have an unbelievable presence on all these platforms. All you need
mean conversion. That's the thing.
Yeah, all you need is the audience that you have on your platform. Currently, you need to create your content targeting them. Too many people try to create content targeting an audience that they want, which in turn doesn't allow them to create content for the audience that they currently have, which never allows them to build trust, honesty, and authenticity and brand loyalty with the people they have. And I can guarantee you, if you put out content for the audience you have, the audience you want will come. But stop thinking so much about what you want long term and how you're going to get to them. But be grateful for those that you currently have, and how can you bring the most value to those people that are already on your page so that they maybe do refer you to somebody else. They maybe do start promoting you. They maybe do come and join your course or your branding accelerator or whatever you have to offer, because you've spent the time to care for what they want and what they need, and you aren't neglecting them for what you want. And again, it all goes back to what you do in person. I see social media very much to building personal relationships. If you had this small circle of influence and they all surrounded themselves with you, and you were in a group setting, and during that conversation or during that meeting, you're constantly looking away and looking over at where you want to be with these top entrepreneurs, without acknowledging these people that are there with you in the there and now, they're gonna lose trust in you. They're gonna not want to work with you. Eventually they will, 100%. And social media is the exact same.
Yeah.
You can't neglect who you currently have for who you want. You need to focus on the audience that you already have, be grateful for them. And then the more you do that, the more recognition you'll start to get.
It's building rapport at the end of the day.
Amen.
Right? Like, you're just building rapport with people who are sold on what you're doing.
Amen.
Right? Like, I have 100 couple followers. I keep going back to TikTok, but it's just like, it's the biggest brand. So it's like, and it's basically a platform for personal brands. That's the only reason I keep going back onto it. And like, even though I'll fluctuate, like I'll gain followers and I'll lose followers, I'll even just make sure I'm paying attention to the followers who still remember me. Like, I'll go back to my comments and I'm like, oh, he remembers from 2019. I gotta put a video for him. You know, it's just stuff like that. It's just like, it's not only about showing you care, but showing that you like recognize certain people. Cause like for that platform, there's a lot of like people who get influenced easily on there, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, and sometimes they do want the attention from you. And sometimes you feel like they wouldn't want that because you're not big enough. But I'm like, nah, forget that. They remember me from then, I'm gonna give them the attention.
Well, that was something that took me a little while to realize as well, was that I was thinking that initially. I was like, why would anyone like idolize me or think they want to be like me? And then I started seeing these comments, people saying, oh my word, you're my favorite TikToker. I love your videos. And other people saying this cold water challenge that I was doing, like more than 100 people started doing that and tagging me in their videos. And that to me was a massive eye opener.
Yeah.
The consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential, doing everything you love to influence an audience, that in itself is going to allow you to connect with people. These people were so loyal to me, even when I had 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 followers on TikTok. And that in itself showed me everything. You don't need millions. You just need the right message.
right message, and the right community. Because that's what it is at the end of the day. It's the community, right? Like, that's how I like to think of it, because it's like when I started realizing like certain people really do like enjoy my content, even though I feel like my content could be a lot better, right? Like
Yeah.
I tend to like self analyze myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
be really critical, and that sometimes does more harm than good.
Amen.
And then like when you do like more like reviews on the comments just to see if like people are enjoying it or not, or get ideas, you start seeing like, wow, you actually have fans who like really do enjoy your content, but you tend to like kind of ignore it because you're just like, I know I can do better. But then when
Yeah.
you start seeing them, it kind of encourages you, like, okay, I'm going in the right direction.
Well, let's dive into that topic then, because I think
But
that's a fascinating topic. People think, and I'm fascinated by this because I get on calls every day with people around this age, and I always ask them, why do you not think you can monetize your platform? Why do you think that an audience shouldn't work with you or resonate with you? Well, I'm not the best at what I do, and there's so much more that I have to learn. Well, Gary Vee is not the best marketer in the world, but he's built an unbelievable brand.
it took
Jason
time, though.
Capital is not.
We
It
got
took
to mention
time.
that. It took time.
It took
You
time,
got
but
to remember that.
he's not the best marketer in the world. But what he had to do was take action.
Yeah.
Too many people are always thinking they aren't good enough, and no one ever did anything until they fucking did it. Sorry for swearing, but that's the damn truth. No one ever did anything until they fucking did it. Too many people think a bit of doubt, think a little bit more doubt. Endless cycle of mediocrity. You're never going to get anywhere without taking action and learning. I know for a fact that I'm not the best personal branding expert in the world, but I also know that I'm better than 75% of those out there when I even just started. And now the more I'm doing it, the more I'm helping. I know that I have value to give that can influence 95% of personal brands out there. So I don't have to be the best. All I have to do is know more than those people I'm working with, and be able to help them and influence them and take them to the next step. And I think that's what people need to understand.
And the reason why you're knowing more than them is because you're doing, which means that even though you failed, you learn from your failures.
Amen.
I don't like glorifying failures because then it gives like the wrong kind of like perception. But like a lot of people do learn a lot faster from their failures.
100%.
Like the learning curve gets a lot smaller when you do that shit.
100%.
That's just the truth. But if you
Too
keep
many people never get there because they're too many people never get to where they want to go because they haven't failed enough, and they haven't failed enough because they haven't tried enough.
Yeah.
You know, I'm 21 years old. I've tried affiliate marketing. I've tried e-commerce. I've tried drop shipping. I've tried a clothing brand. All of them failed, and now that gives me the right to teach people that you need to find what you love in order to do what you want to do. Because had I not done that, had money not been the motivator, I wouldn't know what I know now. You need to fail in order to get to where you're going to go. Simple fact of the matter.
Very true. It's very true. It's just like, I think it just comes down to like anxiety and what you were saying before, like people thinking too much. Like,
Yep.
I don't know if you've seen that famous meme picture, or like the guy who's always pondering, and then right next to him is like the doer. It's like those are like the two personalities in this world. It's like there's a
Yep.
ponderer and then there's a doer.
Yeah.
And the doer is not at the statue. He has footprints.
Yeah.
Walking ahead, right? They're walking ahead, and it's like they're getting somewhere. They know where they're going. Of course, the ponder is just imagining. It's just staying in your head.
Yeah.
And that's what I think about all the time. Like, I can't just let these ideas stay in my head because then it's just going to be flowing ideas, right?
100%.
And then, like,
100%.
maybe you write it down. But even if you write it down, if you're not putting action behind it, you just got to, like a notebook this big of ideas with no action behind it.
No one ever got anywhere by thinking. Simple fact of the matter.
That's just the truth. That's the honest truth. But like I said in our little pre-recording, I do want to understand kind of like your marketing technique because I am fascinated about it, especially like how you present like your next guest on your own podcast, which is listed in the top 100. By the way, you can tell me
Yeah.
podcast if you want.
Inspiring Young Aspirers is the podcast.
Okay.
Geared to inspire those of the age of 16 to 25 to live their ideal life.
Okay. Okay. And then how you market it, like especially with your pictures and stuff. Like do you edit yourself or do you have like how does that work?
Yeah, so I'm fortunate that with my other business and everything I got going on, I was able to pay for a podcast studio.
Okay.
And that podcast studio allowed me to, one, free up time, but also not have to worry about a lot of the editing processes.
Nice.
So in terms of the recording, editing, and all that sort of stuff, that's done by the people at the podcast studio. But in terms of the cover art and the stuff that was created, the cover art, I just got a videographer that I know of a content creator to create that cover art for me. The initial photo is of me. Yeah. And then all my guests, all I do is I had him create a cover art with me, a cover art without me. And all I do is I go into Canva, I pay for the premium service in Canva, I find a picture of my guest, add that photo, remove background, and then all of a sudden you can put that piece out and it looks like it's taken hours to create, but it takes 5 minutes. So
that means I have Canva too. I'm not lying. Like I figured it was Canva, but I don't have premium. So that's hey, if you guys are on podcasting or marketing and stuff, get on Canva because Canva is definitely a great marketing.
For sure, brother. For sure. And the premium tool is virtually nothing. It's very cheap and it gives you a lot of cool ability like that.
Yeah. No, I love that. What time are we at? Very time are we at? Okay. One more question. Where do you see yourself like in 5-10 years of personal branding?
In 5 or 10 years, I see myself as personally as one of the most influential figures in the space of 16 to 25-year-olds.
Okay.
And whether my personal brand grows and grows and grows from that, maybe it will, maybe it won't. But all I'm committed to right now is, like I said at the beginning, the consistent, persistent pursuit of that potential. And the way I see that going is I'm going to give as much value as I can for the next 5 to 10 years. Continue getting on phone calls like I did with you the other day and like I continue to do on a daily basis, where impact and influence becomes more important to me than money, because that's how I'm going to build a brand. That's how I'm going to resonate with people. And so in 5 to 10 years, I see myself speaking to college students all over the country. I see myself speaking in different parts of the world to influence and inspire a generation to live their ideal life. And that's my main goal. I think
your network is your network. So
in very, very much so, yeah. Your network is your net worth. But the way I look at it is the reason there's only 1% successful right now in this entire world, and they call it the top 1%, is because a lot of people just don't believe they can get there. So I'm committed to helping people believe they can get there and shifting that balance to the 5%, the 10%, the 20%.
Well, I'm not going to keep people on like a cloud high. I'm going to keep it pragmatic too at the same time. Yeah. A lot of people kind of don't believe they can get there because there's 7 billion people and counting on this planet, right? But there's only like 2 billion people on the internet.
Yeah.
So it's just like, if you put it in perspective, we still have like 4 billion people that still need to get on the internet. But a lot of people don't recognize that because there's already so many people on the internet. Like billions is still a lot. Like billions is a lot of people. Like that's the thing. And it's intimidating.
Yeah.
Like you go on Instagram's explore page and you can scroll for hours.
Well, what would you rather? I'd ask people this. What would you rather? Would you rather no one on the platform so then you can be the best but nobody's seeing what you put out? Or would you rather billions of people on there so that maybe there's competition but you have the opportunity to target billions of people? That's how I look at it. It's really the way you look at it. I look at it as that is a massive, massive opportunity to organically grow. Yeah.
Like my last episode is a bonus episode. It's called SWAT because I was making content this past weekend and I ended up being by myself and I retaught myself how to play chess and like I learned a little like technique called SWAT, which is strength, weaknesses, opportunity, and threats. And it's just like I didn't realize how much of importance, because I learned that in college, to be honest. I was doing my master's degree. and like we do SWOT analysis and stuff. 'Cause I was like in a little bit
Yeah.
of tech field, and I didn't realize how much I applied to chess until like I relearned chess, and I was like, wow, I already learned this back in the day, but I learned it back in college again, and I'm going back to it like on my own. You know what I mean? Like just like
Yeah.
on my own will to like learn
Yeah.
something new again, and it's just like wow, like opportunity is that important. Identifying your own strengths and weaknesses, and noticing the threats, not being fearful of the threats, right? Because
Yeah.
like fear is gonna hold you back.
Yeah.
But like identifying the threats and knowing how to
Yeah.
adjust to it.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
think
just
the
like,
weaknesses one is fascinating. The one
yes,
about weaknesses.
yeah,
And the reason I think that's fascinating is because as a society, we're taught you need to focus on your weaknesses. You need to work on your weaknesses.
really.
And all that convinces us to believe, yes, really, when we're younger, all you're told is, what aren't you good at? Go and work on it.
Mind you, I only said really because like where I'm from,
No, I know.
I was taught like to like focus on your strengths because like the
Yeah.
weaknesses, because positive, you know what I mean? Like in chess, like they want you to think positively because you already know
Yeah.
people are attacking you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like I was
Yeah.
taught the same thing when I was like playing sports, like where I'm from. But like
Yeah.
like you said you're in California, so like they teach different stuff. So the reason I said really is I'm like, oh really? That's how like you were taught and stuff. So
Well,
that's
I think as a society, like 99.5% of the world is taught when they're younger. And I look at it in school terms. Okay, you're getting an A here, you're getting an A here, but you're getting a C here. So you're not good at this. Now let's work on this.
Like subliminally. That's what you.
Yeah.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Sports,
Like your performance.
in sports, if you play soccer, okay, you've got a great left foot, your right foot's weak, you need to work on that to improve it. We're always taught that you need to work on your weaknesses, okay? And that convinces us and puts us in this mindset of constant failure. We aren't good enough. We aren't good enough to do this. We are, regardless of what we're good at, we need to work on this. And I believe, and everything I've been taught, dive deeper into your strengths and forget your weaknesses.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you aren't going to become an absolute expert in 50 different things. You're going to become a king at one if you dive deep into one.
And that's just old
And
philosophy.
that's everything
too.
I focus on.
That's just like old philosophy too. Like you know Robert Greene.
Yeah.
Like Arthur, like stuff like that. Like it's just old philosophy. Like you're better off mastering one skill and then moving on to the next one than like being mediocre in 50 other skills.
Yeah.
Because like
it's like Bruce Lee. It's like Bruce Lee. Garen Jones said it on my podcast. I fear not the man who practices 1,000 kicks once, but rather the man who practices one kick 1,000 times.
Because he knows every angle, he knows every like touch, he knows the exact amount of power. Yeah.
Exactly.
That makes sense. But I think that's all the questions I have. Usually on my podcast, I like to have my guests like have like a takeaway message for the audience members.
Yeah.
If you have any like
Absolutely.
takeaway message you can give to our audience members about personal branding
Absolutely.
or just in general what you've been through.
Absolutely. Here's what I'll say about you right now and the position you're in if you're listening to this. You have the greatest opportunity this world has ever presented to build a brand around yourself based on what you love. Don't fuck that up by listening to external influences, listening to 95% of the world that are going to tell you can't do something. If you love something, there is potential for you to create a brand around that. Deploy patience, deploy consistency, dive deep into what you love. Stop letting other people convince you that you need to live a life of mediocrity and do something that you do not enjoy. It is possible to do what you love. It is possible to create anything out of something, out of a vision. Go dive deep into it, deploy patience, and remember what we talked about this entire time. The consistent, persistent pursuit of your absolute potential. That's the goal, not money. Not money. Money will come. But deploy patience, understand your passions, and dive deep into those, because I can tell you from experience, I can tell you from everybody I've worked with, it is possible.
You have to believe.
Amen.
You can't just go in and be like, all right, I did the consistency, this and that, but like I don't fully believe in it.
That's the first step. Too many people don't believe they can do it, and so they never start. And so my entire objective in everything I teach in my branding accelerator is step one, you need to actually believe that you can fucking do it.
I like it, Billy. I like it, Billy. I like it. I like it.
Oh shit.
All right. But that concludes our episode, everybody. Billy, I'm super happy that you came on this episode. I'm gonna try to brand you as well as possible because that's like your niche. So obviously, we're gonna talk after post-production. Maybe you can help me a little bit, but yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. A lot of valuable information. I hope audience members got a lot of value out of this information that Billy has taught. And until next time, I'm Prince Ayo. Billy, thank you for coming on.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Take care. All right, let me pause it.
What can I say? Living generation where materialism is security and being stored will get you glory. If it ain't Dior or a penthouse, they don't care about what you talking about. Fuck the fame, just play the game, just stay focused. Pay attention what is inside. A lump sum of money won't make you feel